Hey guys, Roxanbox90 here with a video on trading. So I've gotten some questions about how I do so many trades. I've done dozens, probably low estimate, about 150. And people ask me, how do I do it? Especially trying to keep things on a budget because you don't want to spend $5 to $10 a trade. It's kind of ridiculous. So how do you trade on YouTube? And how do you trade on YouTube on a budget? Those are the two things we're going to kind of address in this video. The first thing I'm going to say is that trades differ based on value. If your trade is between, say, $1 and $30, there's a certain way to trade. If it's between $30 and $100, there's another way to trade, and if it's over $100, there's a third way to trade. And this is pretty much what I do when I'm trading with people, as a general rule. So setting up for trading, let's talk about that first. When you have for trading, you have your supplies, what you need to have around to trade. So this is what I have. This is what I keep around. I have envelopes. These are security manila envelopes. I have bubble mailer, which this actually came in from another company, so it's, as you can see, it's kind of pre-used, but easy to reuse this. And this is from the post office. They give their own version of bubble mailer. And I don't tend to send anything else but these three things. I have some of this, I don't know, packing supply stuff. I have tape. So this is basic clear tape, Scotch tape. It's like Scotch tape, but it's cheaper even. And then packing tape. This is for the bubble mailers because it prevents water from getting in. Both of these are fairly cheap. You can get them at Staples or wherever. Index cards, if you're going to use a bubble mailer and it has a company logo printed on it instead of just a sticker, then you may want to cover that, erase it, try to take it off somehow, but you can cover it with an index card and then use the tape, packing tape that you're going to seal the envelope with anyway to use that. So I do that. Use top loaders. So I reuse some top loaders. I have new top loaders as well as reused top loaders because I have so many lying around from previous trades and or that I have from my own trading life. Penny sleeves are a good idea. Those are probably the best option for budget. You can have any variant of the hardback sleeves. Those are a little more expensive. And a scissor just for cutting stuff, and pen, and of course, a permanent marker. This is really good for envelopes if you're worried about them maybe getting a little wet, which has happened to me before. So this is good backup. This is probably better if the information is taped or you know it's not going that far. So that's pretty much, those are the basic supplies to start with. It's very, very cheap. And most people have some of these things lying around anyway in their houses. So in terms of trades, so if I'm doing a trade for $1 to $30, then what I use is the basic security envelope. I put the cards into a top loader. Usually there's only a couple of cards into a top loader or two. Seal them with tape. If I'm sending extras, whatever, I'll put in a penny sleeve or in back sleeve. And I'll tape them to the front or back of the top loader. Take the top loader tape on either side, put it into the center of the envelope so the tape is sticking to the envelope. Seal it, put one piece of tape across here. Preferably you can put a small one, a big one, doesn't really matter. But the envelope, when it's glue, it can pop open at times, and I've had a huge trade go missing that way. So tape that, and then just right at the front, and you're ready to send out. So that's for $1 to $30. Very rarely do those get lost. I don't think I've ever had it get lost if you do these things. If you have the cards securely inside so they don't jiggle around and rip the envelope. If the envelope is sealed itself so it doesn't pop open, and everything is legible. I never had a trade go missing this way, so that seems pretty secure to me. It doesn't really cost anything extra. It's like 1 or 2 extra pieces of tape. It's really nothing. And it pretty much guarantees this stuff gets there safe. So that's for $1 to $30. You don't really need the tracking or whatever because it's not overly expensive. And the stamps on these, if you send only 1 or 2 top loaders with 10 cards or less, the stamps, it means 46 to 66 cents. It's fairly cheap as things are. Now let's say you have trades between $30 and $100 because there you're already starting a little bit of an investment and you really don't want the cards to get lost because it's, for most people, that's a significant part of their collection. So what I would do for $30 to $100, let's say, averaging, I would use the bubble mailer. I would send first class. Make sure everything is pretty much the same way I said for the other one. Just make sure everything is well taped, secured, sealed, and you put it into here, into the bubble mailer. You can tape it inside the bubble mailer. I don't know if you have to as much. It's a little more secure and packaged. You might want to, if you have these lying around from ordering something else, you can shove these in to make sure, give it a little more bulk and make sure it doesn't jiggle at all. Then I would do with tracking, especially in the US. You can't do it outside the US, which is why if you're a newer trader and you don't have the ability to risk cards, then be wary about trading outside the United States, because there you don't get tracking. The US definitely get tracking if it's between $30 and $100, just because the tracking is maybe $3, and the amount of cards you would lose, it's really worth making sure the stuff gets there safe. And tracking also allows you to confirm delivery, so someone can't take your cards and steal it, because you'll have a record for the post office, the federal government. If you have to file a suit against someone, you'll have a record that it was delivered to that address that was given to you, yada yada. So I would do it that way. So that's what I would do for $30 to $100. Now let's say you have over $100, because of course then that's a huge trade, and many people have had someone steal it, have had thefts on those. I know MTG 82 guy, I remember there was a huge scandal. He sent like $300 to a guy, simul-sended, and it ended up, the person ended up stealing it. It was a huge problem that way. That's a lot of money. How do you protect yourself with that? Really do the same thing you do for shipping, because I've had trades that are a couple $100 that were delayed, but if you have the tracking number and it's well packaged in a bubble mailer, the post office can basically find it. Meaning even if it's lost, it's not really lost because it was buzzed. So you know, if they say, oh, the last place was buzzed was in this sorting facility, chances are it got lost in that facility, and you could call the post office and have them look for it. So as long as you have tracking on a well-packaged bubble mailer, you should be okay. But if you're sending more than $100, the insurance isn't terribly more expensive to invest in. So I would probably recommend doing insurance as well, just in case. It depends on if you have the money to do that, but if you do, I would do that. So what about the expense? Because you're doing lots of trades now, you're really into it, and you're saying, how can I save money on these basic supplies? Because the shipping is enough in terms of expense. So I would say that you should use a couple of options. For one thing, you really don't need to use backed sleeves. It's not necessary. Pennysleeves are very cheap. And I would also say for envelopes, because the next big expense, the top loaders you can pretty much get also for I don't know how much, it's $5 for a package of them. We'll exchange them via trades. I mean, most people will be using these in trades. So if you trade with someone, then for the next trade, you'll probably have top loaders lying around now because that you're not using. The envelopes, if you want to buy envelopes, you can get a pack of envelopes very, very cheap at Staples or any other supply store. You can preferably buy like 50 to 100 if you plan on trading for a while, and they're useful for other things too. I mean, you use them for any mail you do. So at least 50 to start for these ones, because these are probably the bulk trade you're going to do. Most people don't do non-stop expensive trades. And then in terms of bubble mailers, since bubble mailers can be expensive, especially if you buy them right from the post office, there are a couple of good websites that I've either used, had someone I know use, or are fairly cheap that I found online. You can buy bulk off eBay, but eBay is eBay. These are stores. So I'd probably get 10 to 20 to start, and then after that you could just, from things you buy, reuse it and save yourself money. But you should have at least a stock of your own. I'll post the links for those also in the description. You can find those as well. So overall, that is both how I trade and how to trade on a budget. I mean, this basically shouldn't cost, starting shouldn't be more than $20, maybe $30 just for raw supplies. And you can probably get even less if you really look around on websites. You can probably find stuff for even cheaper. Once you have the basic supplies, I mean, everyone uses these in their daily lives anyway. I mean, obviously, well, the sleeves you use the sleeves yourselves, but in terms of index cards / tape / envelopes, bubble mailer not as much, but everything else most people use in their lives. So it's not like you're squandering the money. You can always, if you stop trading, use that regularly. So it's not a crazy investment. So that is pretty much what I do for trading and trading on a budget. So last thing I'll mention before I get off here, if you don't use sleeves, even penny sleeves, when you're using top loaders, you run the risk of scratching the cards. So if you stick a card into this, just plain, especially if it's foil, then you run a very high risk of it rubbing against the exterior or scratching on the surface. And it makes it very difficult to pull out without causing damage also. So with these, these penny sleeves protect against that. You just slide them in with the cards, no problem. But in general, if you're using top loaders, don't put cards in without sleeves, even penny sleeves, which are the easiest option. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys and will help new traders starting out and help old traders who are finding it to be a bit more expensive than they thought. I'll put the links to all the information, websites and such below in the description as well. This video is sponsored by Magic on a Budget. You can find a link to their website as well in the description. They're a fantastic website. Also all about a budget. They have the cheapest shipping around. Budget guys, it's key to long-term trading. Roxabox90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.